how do you improve workplace culture quickly?
So this is an interesting one because there's this pool, isn't there, between particularly if you've hit a burning platform point where there is a frustration about the behaviours and the tone within your organisation, you want to move things quickly. And as a culture practitioner, I will always say to you, it takes about 3 years to change a culture. But what I don't mean is that it takes 3 years to see a difference. So it takes 2 to 3 years to really embed that culture so that it becomes this new version of that self-reinforcing cycle that does what you need it to do in a really automated and ingrained way in the way that culture works. If you want to shift difficult behaviours quickly, I think the big thing for me is about looking at really consciously considering what are we tolerating at the minute that actually we need to start not tolerating anymore. So setting out real cues about what is and what isn't acceptable, and at the same time really critically looking at your system and thinking, but why are these behaviours flourishing? Why is it acceptable? Why do people think this is a good idea, or why do they think this is acceptable? So it's not just about the consequence to that behaviour that we want to change quickly. It's also about thinking, well, where are we accidentally permitting that behaviour? So an example I would give on that is thinking about something like personal responsibility or accountability. A lot of businesses come to us saying, I just want them to make that decision themselves. And I don't know how many executive rooms I've stood in where the chief executive or the directors are going, in last week's meeting, we were looking at this. We were signing off the colour of the trays that were going into the staff room for people. And the question I always ask is, well, why did you make that choice? Why did you not send that decision back into the organisation? Because by carrying on making that choice and making that decision for people, you are permitting and encouraging them to continue to escalate things. So we've really got to look at, if there's very specific behaviours that we want to shift quickly, target in on 1 or 2 behaviours at a time. Think about what you need to tolerate and not tolerate, but also really look at where are we permitting and encouraging this behaviour? Where's the payoff, and how do we make sure that we remove that payoff and incentivise and support people towards a new route and a different behaviour?